The great silver bridge that once stood so proud started twisting and bending and roaring so loud.
Friends, this is a tragic but true history about the rise and fall of the Great Silver Bridge. That monster of beauty, as it was called upon completion, spanned the Ohio River between Canoga, Ohio, and Point Pleasant, West Virginia. It was 1/3 of a mile long and had a 700-foot channel span 100 feet above the water level. The Silver Bridge was the first bridge in America of its particular design and the second in the world pioneering in and suspended by heat-treated eye-bar chains. Due to its unusual method of construction, it was proclaimed by many visitors and tourists as the most beautiful bridge across the Ohio River. It was first opened for traffic on May 19, 1928, and dedicated on Memorial Day of the same year. There were 1,800 tons of high-quality steel and 10,000 yards of concrete used in the construction of the Silver Bridge. The original flooring was made of 250,000 feet of California redwood. This later was replaced by grille steel covered with concrete.
Oh, the great
was up in West Virginia and Canoga, Ohio, where the Great Silver Bridge was built so long ago. But one cold December evening, about 5 o'clock, the Great Silver Bridge began to reel and rock. It was sad when that Silver Bridge went down, and the bars of twisted steel came tumbling to the ground. There were prayers screamed and cried, many people lost their lives. It was sad when that great bridge went down. They were crying out for mercy, but no comfort could they feel. They were pinned beneath the wreckage and bars of twisted steel. In the cars with Christmas shoppers who had bought so many toys, but now there'll be no Christmas for their orphan girls and boys. It was sad when that Silver Bridge went down, and the bars of twisted steel came tumbling to the ground. There were prayers screamed and cried, many people lost their lives. It was sad when that great bridge went down. The bridge had been inspected, but the flaws they did not find, and the constant flow.
Mrs. Foster, what was the first thing that you saw?
Well, I heard before I saw anything. I was standing right here in my kitchen preparing dinner, and my two boys came out the back door down the steps to get their bicycles. They got down to the bottom of the steps here, and they started screaming. We heard this terrible boom, and my boys looked around and saw the bridge starting to fall. Well, as soon as I heard the sound, I, of course, ran out the back door to see what was wrong with the boys and what the noise was. And as I got out my back door, of course, I could see what was happening, and I stood right here and watched the whole bridge.
What did the bridge look like?
Well, it's like my little boy said. It was just like you would build a bridge out of child's building toys. And then if you just take a stick and just knock the props out from under it, that's the way it went.
Did you see all the trucks and cars falling?
I could see part of them, yes, from where I'm standing. But, of course, where the trees and things are, I couldn't see too much.
Mr. Ellis, when was the first indication you had that everything was all wrong?
Well, I came to myself after, I imagine it was after the truck came to rest on the shore there, on the ground. Someone was trying to get me out. That's all I can remember. See, I was in the sleeper.
Were you asleep at the time the bridge fell?
Yes, sir, I was.
And what was the first thing you realized after the collapse?
I realized someone was either pulling me out of the truck cab or lifting me onto a stretcher or something like that. I was so addled, I was trying to figure out, but I couldn't. I believe they was lifting me onto a stretcher.
What happened to the man who was driving the truck?
He's just across the room here. He has a broken back, and I'm not sure, but maybe one or two, or both of his legs broke.
The man who was in the truck with you, have you spoken to him since?
Oh, yes. He keeps him under sedation because he has quite a bit of pain. But he comes to, and we talk a little bit occasionally.
Ever have an accident like this or anything like this before?
Not this serious, no. This is the worst I've seen.